Welcome to today's video. We're going to be doing our pre-operational checklist and learning how to drive tractors today. So before we get started, I like to go ahead and place my caution do not operate steering wheel tag over the steering wheel while I do my pre-operational check. That way if I step away, have to do something, nobody's going to go ahead and turn on the tractor. All right, so without further ado, here we go. Let's go ahead and pop open the hood. So I have my pre-operational checklist ready and available. It's going to help me walk through all of what I need to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the hood of the tractor. There we go. And according to my checklist, the first thing I need to look at is my crankcase oil. Is it clean and is it full? So I'm going to look for my dipstick. And my dipstick right here happens to be marked and labeled. Before I pull it out, I want to make sure that everything is clean. And that way I don't accidentally dump dirt back into the crankcase. So I go ahead and take my rag, wipe down and around. Now I can go ahead and pull out my dipstick, wipe it, noting the color, but wipe it to get a clean dipstick and do that one more time so I can take a reading. So my engine oil here is pretty clean. It is slightly dark, but it's not fully black all the way through. It is between the two lines, so I am good to go. I have enough engine oil. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off and put the dipstick back in and mark that my crankcase oil is okay. Next, my checklist says to check the air filter. So I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to pop off this cover to the air filter. Now this cover has a little burp down here, so any dust that's trapped in, as long as that's pointed down, I could burp out all the dust. I still want to remove the filter and check it. The pre-filter, or the HEPA filter style, right, the secondary filter I should say, that's what this is, secondary filter, is totally clean, in good condition, so I'm not going to remove that. I'm going to tap this a couple of times, get some of the dirt from the last use out of there. If I had compressed air available, I would use no more than 20 psi and I would blow it out from the inside to clean it out. Just a nice little tap, 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 everything blows out. So now that my air filter is clean, I'm going to go ahead and replace my pre-filter here over the top of my primary filter. And now I'm going to go ahead and replace this cover. Now, some of these makes and models, getting to the third little tab is not so easy. There we go. And there we go. All locked in. All ready to go. All right, so my air filter is in good condition. Next it says to check my battery. Now, this is a completely sealed battery. I don't have any caps to unscrew. If I had a battery that wasn't sealed, I'd need to put on an apron, long sleeve shirt, gloves, need to wear a face shield along with safety glasses, and then I could go ahead and use a hydrometer and I could check each individual cell for the specific gravity using the hydrometer. Because this is a sealed battery, and most smaller tractors are going to be sealed batteries, we don't have to worry about that. The battery looks like it's in good condition. There's no bulges or damage to the plastic housing. The terminals are in relatively good condition. They could stand to be cleaned, but we don't have to do that right now. All right, radiator coolant. That's the next one that's up. So, newer tractors have an overflow, and that overflow is going to go ahead, and we want to be between the low and the high. If you do have to top up the radiator fluid, make sure that you use the manufacturer's recommended radiator coolant. Don't just go to O'Reilly's or wherever and buy some. Go back to the dealership, get the stuff that they recommend, because you want it to all be compatible. There's enough chemicals in there. We don't need to play chemist inside of our engine. All right, now we're just kind of looking over the general look and appearance of the tractor. Are all the wires and cabling, everything look like it's in good condition, nothing frayed or out of place? And the answer is yes. And then steering connection. I'm going to take the steering wheel, and everything feels like it should. I can see the front tires moving a little bit just from moving that around. All right, so the next one on the list is greasing the zerks. So zerks are going to be found, grease points are found everywhere that there's going to be moving, sliding parts. And the point of grease is to go ahead and lubricate the joint. So before we lubricate anything, we're going to go ahead and wipe the dirt off, because we don't want any dirt to get into those wear points that need to be greased. The other thing we do is, notice we use red caps around here, red or yellow, and that's just to make all of the grease points highly visible. So you can see here on the bucket there are several grease points. I'm just going to go ahead here, and I want to do it until I see grease coming out back here. And I saw the grease. If you don't have the red caps, you can leave a little cap of grease right on top, and that will collect all the dirt and keep the dirt out of the zerk itself. You can see on this bucket we have 2, 4, 6, 8 grease points on each side, and often we can find grease points on the kingpin down here, especially on older tractors, sometimes on the CV joint or steering joint right here as well. So I'm just checking to make sure there's no other grease joints here. On the back of the tractor, usually at the 3-point hitch, there's more grease points. And then occasionally on the rear axle, you will also find some grease points. So it's worth double checking what grease points are where, and making sure that you grease the entire tractor. So now with the tractor greased, we can go ahead and put a check mark there. And we want to make sure that our wheels are nice and secure, the wheel bolts, right? So if we're looking for anything that's loose or doesn't quite fit up correctly, and that totally fits, that totally works, we are good to go. And then tire pressure and tires. Are they in good condition? Are they really worn? Do they have enough air pressure, right? So you can take a piece of wood or even knock on them, and they should all sound about the same. And that way you can kind of tell that, along with, is the tread fully engaged on the ground. So if the tread is pretty close to fully engaged, we are good to go. So there's just a little bit here on the very side that is not engaged, just a little roll right there where I can just barely get my finger. And that's exactly what we want, because once we get a load, this tire will flatten out even more, but it's not going to go concave, so we get maximum traction that way. So the tire's in good shape. Now we're going to move to the back of the tractor. Now that we're at the back of the tractor, we want to make sure that the PTO master shield right here is in place, and that our PTO guard is also in place. So our PTO shaft has no way of entangling anybody, because this plastic here doesn't spin, and this guard should keep our bodies away from it in case it gets engaged. So the PTO safety shield and guards are in good condition. I can go ahead and check that off as well. And our 3-point hitch is also in good condition. We've got our upper link right here. We've got our fixed lower link over here on the operator's left, and we have our adjustable lower link over here on our operator's right. So we are in good condition there. And then we have a quick hitch that's also attached, and the points on the quick hitch are all in good shape. There's no damage or obvious signs of wear. We don't have any equipment, so we don't need to check the equipment today, but normally you'd also check the equipment at this point. All right, So now we're going to go ahead and mount the vehicle and check the last few items. All right, so next on my list is to check the handrails and the stirrup, the step for the vehicle. So on this tractor, one of the handrails is the loader, and that is good and secure. The other handrail right here is also good and secure. Notice I can give the tractor a good shake. The stirrup here, the stirrup is firmly mounted and secure. So our mounting points are definitely good to go. We can give that a check. Brake pedals. Well, we want to check that our brake pedals work both individually. So we have right side, left side, and we want to make sure that they lock together so they both go down at once. And they do. And I'm feeling brakes exactly the way I should be feeling them. They are fully functional. Now, why would a tractor have left side, right side brake? And the answer is, in the field, there may be an instance where you want to turn really, really tight in order to get to the next row. So you can lock up that inside wheel, and then the outside wheel can spin faster and allows you to perform really tight turns. Otherwise, tractor dance is pretty slow and pretty mellow. All right. Fuel. So we can check the fuel tank here, make sure everything's in good shape. If the fuel level is low, then we would need to top it up. So to check the fuel level, on some of the older tractors, you would just stick a ruler or a yardstick into the fuel tank, especially if the gauges are all gone. Which, by the way, should get fixed. On newer tractors, we go ahead and we just turn the key to the accessory position. But out of habit, the first thing I should do is put my seatbelt on. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the key to the accessory position. My fuel level is 3/4 full, and I have 90 hours on the tractor, so we are good to go. And I know my battery is good because I have 12.3 volts as well. And 12.2 to 12.6 is ideal in that range. So you'll notice that I mounted the tractor with 3 points of contact. I'm going to also dismount the tractor with 3 points of contact and nothing in my hand. So I come up, I move to the handrail, the stirrup, and down. Gauges and instruments, when I turned it to the accessory position, everything was working. Everything looked like it was in order. The seat and the seat belt were adjustable, and the seat belt definitely worked. And the last little things I want to do is to check for leaks under the tractor. So I'm going to go ahead and look under the tractor, look for any obvious signs of leaks. I don't see any. We are good to go. That concludes our pre-operational checklist. It's important to make sure that you document it per Cal OSHA regulations. If you are governed by Cal OSHA regulations, you will need to maintain a physical copy of the pre-operation checklist for each operation that the tractor is used for. So, or each day, I should say, that the tractor is used for. So make sure that you document your pre-operational checklists, and let's mount up and get started.